The emergency meeting room on Zephyr Station buzzed with nervous energy. Council leader Vextheri stood at the head of the long metal table, his blue skin darker than usual with stress. Around him sat 12 other Zephyrians, all looking worried and afraid. "We have lost 3 more cargo ships this week," Vextheri said, his voice tired and heavy. "The Void Reapers took everything. Our insurance company refuses to pay us anymore. They say we are too dangerous to cover." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The Zephyrian Trade Consortium was dying. Without cargo ships, they could not move goods between planets. Without moving goods, they made no money. Without money, they would all lose their jobs and homes. "What about hiring guards?" asked Kilnara, the youngest council member. "Other companies use mercenaries to protect their ships." "Too expensive," replied Vextheri. He pulled up a holographic display, showing numbers in red. "We checked every major security company in the galaxy. Even the cheapest ones want more money than we have left." The silence stretched on. Outside the meeting room windows, Vextheri could see cargo ships from other companies loading and unloading their goods safely. Those companies had money for proper protection. The Zephyrians did not. "Sir," said a small voice from the corner. It was Pip Talk, a young Quillian who worked as their junior accountant. His feathers were gray with worry. "There might be one option we have not tried." "What option?" Vextheri asked. Though he did not sound hopeful, Pip Talk shifted nervously in his chair. "The Galactic Employment Exchange has some unusual listings, species that most companies do not hire. They charge much less money because nobody wants to work with them." Vextheri felt a small spark of hope. "Show me." Pip Talk's fingers moved quickly over his tablet. The holographic display changed to show a list of different alien species and their rates. Most were crossed out with notes like extinct or unreliable or eats clients. "Here," Pip Talk said, pointing to one entry near the bottom. "Humans. They have a security company called Iron Wolf. Their rates are very low." Vextheri looked at the numbers. The humans were asking for 1/10 of what the major security companies wanted. It seemed too good to be true. "Why are they so cheap?" he asked. Pip Talk's feathers turned pale white. "Well, sir, humans come from what the Galactic Council calls a Class 7 Death World. Most people consider hiring them to be what? A death wish, sir." The other council members started talking all at once. Some sounded excited about the low price. Others sounded terrified about working with Death World creatures. Vextheri raised his hand for silence. "Tell me about humans," he said to Pip Talk. The young Quillian pulled up more information on his tablet. "They are mammals from a planet called Earth. Very high gravity, dangerous weather, lots of poisonous plants and animals. The humans evolved by fighting everything on their world." "Are they intelligent?" asked Kilnara. "Yes, very smart. They have good technology, and they follow contracts." "But—" Pip Talk paused. "But what?" "They solve problems by fighting. When most species see a difficult situation, they try to negotiate or run away. Humans see the same situation and ask, 'How do I kill it?'" Vextheri thought about this. His people were not fighters. Zephyrians were traders and negotiators. They made deals and found peaceful solutions. The idea of hiring creatures who solved problems with violence made him uncomfortable. But then he looked at the red numbers on his display again. 3 cargo ships lost. Dozens of crew members dead or missing. The company would be bankrupt in 2 months if they lost any more ships. "What exactly do we know about this Iron Wolf Company?" he asked. Pip Talk read from his tablet. "They are led by a human named Jake Murphy. The company has 12 members. They have been working in space for 3 years. No client has ever lost a cargo ship while under their protection." "Never?" Vextheri was surprised. "Never, sir. But—" Pip Talk looked even more nervous. "But what now?" "Most of their clients do not hire them again after the first job." "Why not, if they do good work?" Pip Talk's feathers were now almost white. "The reports say humans are too scary to work with. They modify client ships without permission. They bring too many weapons. They act like they enjoy fighting. Most species find them disturbing. The room was quiet again. Vex Theory looked around the table at his fellow council members. They all looked back at him with hope and fear in their eyes. They needed protection for their cargo ships, but they were afraid of the protectors. How quickly can we contact them? Vex Theory asked finally. I can send a message now, sir. But are you sure about this? Vex Theory thought about his options. He could let the company die slowly as pirates took more ships. He could borrow money he could not pay back to hire expensive security. Or he could take a chance on the scary humans who might actually save them. Send the message, he said. Tell them we need protection for a cargo run to the outer rim. Standard rates. Pip Talk's fingers moved over his tablet. A few seconds later, it beeped with a reply. That was fast, said Kilnara. Pip Talk read the message aloud. Message from Captain Jake Murphy of Iron Wolf Security. We accept your contract. We will arrive at Zephyr Station in 2 days. Prepare docking space for our ship. We guarantee your cargo will reach its destination safely. And message. Very professional, said Vex Theory, feeling a little better about the decision. Sir, said Pip Talk quietly, there is one more thing. Captain Murphy sent technical specifications for their ship. It is called the Wildfire. What about it? According to these numbers, it carries more weapons than most military vessels. And, sir, Pip Talk looked up from his tablet with wide, frightened eyes. It is much smaller than most military vessels. Vex Theory felt his stomach drop. What had he just agreed to? 2 days later, he would find out exactly what humans were capable of. The alarm on Zephyr Station rang twice, which meant a ship was asking for permission to dock. Vex Theory stood in the observation deck and looked out at space. He could see a dark shape moving toward them, but it was still too far away to see clearly. Sir, came Pip Talk's voice over the communicator. The human ship is here. They are requesting docking bay 7. Give them permission, Vex Theory said. His voice sounded calm, but inside he felt nervous. As the ship came closer, Vex Theory could see it better. The Wildfire was not what he had expected. Most cargo escort ships were clean and smooth, built for long trips through space. This ship looked like it was built for war. The hull was dark gray metal with scratches and dents. Strange spikes stuck out from the front like metal teeth. Weapon ports covered the sides like angry eyes. The ship moved in a way that reminded Vex Theory of a hunting animal, smooth and dangerous. That is not a normal escort ship, said Kilnara, who had joined him at the observation deck. No, agreed Vex Theory. It is not. The Wildfire docked with a loud clang that shook the entire station. Vex Theory and Kilnara walked to the docking bay to meet their new hired guards. Other Zephyrian workers had gathered to watch, but they stayed far back from the docking door. The door opened with a hiss of air. The first human to step out was tall and broad, wearing a dark blue uniform with many pockets. His hair was brown and cut short. His eyes were the color of winter sky. And when he looked around the docking bay, Vex Theory felt like he was being studied by a predator. I am Captain Jake Murphy, the human said. His voice was deep and confident. Iron Wolf Security. You must be Council Leader Vex Theory. Yes, Vex Theory replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Welcome to Zephyr Station. More humans came out of their ship. Vex Theory counted 12 of them, just as the contract had said. But seeing them in person was different from reading about them on a tablet. They moved like soldiers, always watching everything around them. They carried weapons on their belts and more weapons on their backs. This is my second in command, Lieutenant Lisa Carter, Captain Murphy said, pointing to a woman with red hair and green eyes. She smiled, but the smile did not make Vex Theory feel safer. It made him think of a wolf showing its teeth. Pleasure to meet you, Lieutenant Carter said. Do not worry about anything. We are professionals. Your cargo will reach its destination safely. We promise. The other humans spread out through the docking bay, examining everything. One of them, a man with dark skin and kind eyes, walked over to look at the station security cameras. Another, a woman with short blonde hair, was studying the cargo loading equipment. What are they doing? Kilnara whispered to Vex Theory. Checking for weaknesses, Captain Murphy answered, even though the question had not been asked him. We need to know how to protect this place if someone attacks while we are here. Attacks. Vex Theory felt his skin go cold. Do you think someone will attack the station? Probably not, said Lieutenant Carter. But we always prepare for the worst. That is why our clients stay alive. Captain Murphy pulled out a tablet and showed it to Vex Theory. We need to talk about your cargo ships, the ones we will be protecting. Of course, Vex Theory said. We have 4 ships ready to go. The Prophet's Edge, the Golden Current, the Star Trader, and the New Hope. They are all loaded with manufactured goods for the Outer Rim colonies. Good. We will need to make some changes to them before we leave. Changes? Vex Theory did not like the sound of that. Security improvements, Captain Murphy explained. Better armor, stronger shields, emergency weapon systems. Standard procedure. We did not agree to any modifications, Kilnara said, stepping forward. Lieutenant Carter looked at her with those wolf eyes. You hired us to protect your ships. We cannot protect them properly if they are weak. Do you want protection, or do you want your ships to stay pretty? One of the other humans, a man with a thick beard, walked over to join the conversation. I am Sergeant Pete Rodriguez, he said. I handle technical modifications. Do not worry, we will not break anything. We will just make it better. Better how? Asked Vex Theory. Stronger hull plating, better power systems, emergency weapon mounts, maybe some surprise features in case pirates try to board your ships. Sergeant Rodriguez grinned. If you are not prepared to cheat, you are not prepared to win. Cheat? Kilnara looked shocked. Not actual cheating, Captain Murphy said quickly. Military thinking. Always have more tricks than your enemy expects. Always be ready for the worst case. A new voice spoke from behind them. Sir, I have finished checking the docking bay security. It was a woman with blonde hair. There are 17 weak points where attackers could break in. I can fix 12 of them with basic improvements. Thank you, Corporal Amy Foster, Captain Murphy said. Make a list and send it to the station commander. Vex Theory felt overwhelmed. The humans had been on the station for 10 minutes, and they were already finding problems and making plans. They moved and talked like they expected a fight at any moment. When can we begin the cargo run? He asked. Tomorrow morning, Captain Murphy replied. That gives us tonight to prepare your ships and review the route. Where exactly are we going? Kepler 7 colony, Vex Theory said. It is a mining world in the Outer Rim. The trip usually takes 5 days. Through pirate space, Lieutenant Carter added. It was not a question. Yes, the Void Reapers control that area. They have attacked many ships there. The humans looked at each other. Vex Theory could not read their expressions, but they did not look worried. They looked almost excited. The Void Reapers, said Sergeant Rodriguez. I have heard of them. They use old ships and simple tactics. They depend on fear more than skill. They have 15 ships, Kilnara said. Maybe more. Numbers do not matter if you use them badly, Captain Murphy said. How many ships do they usually attack with? All of them, Vex Theory replied. They surround cargo ships and demand surrender. Most ships give up without fighting. Most ships are not protected by humans, Lieutenant Carter said with that wolf smile again. Captain Murphy looked at his tablet. We will take the Wildfire as escort. Your 4 cargo ships will stay in formation. If the pirates attack, you will do exactly what we tell you to do. No questions, no delays. Understood. Understood, Vex Theory said, though he was not sure he really understood anything about these strange, dangerous creatures he had hired. Good, Captain Murphy said. Sergeant Rodriguez, begin modifications on the cargo ships. Corporal Foster, set up communication links between all vessels. Lieutenant Carter, review our weapons inventory. The humans scattered to their tasks with military efficiency. Within minutes, they were all over the docking bay, working on equipment and making plans. Vex Theory watched them work and wondered what he had gotten himself into. The humans were clearly competent and professional, but they were also clearly preparing for war. He hoped the Void Reapers were not ready for what was coming their way. The convoy left Zephyr Station early in the morning. Vex Theory stood on the bridge of the Prophet's Edge and watched the human escort ship take its position ahead of them. The wildfire moved like a hunting cat, smooth and ready for trouble. All ships, this is Captain Murphy, came the voice over the communication system. We are entering the danger zone. From now on, you follow my orders exactly. No questions, no delays. Understood, Vex Theory replied, though his mouth felt dry. Behind the Prophet's Edge came the other 3 cargo ships. The Golden Current, Star Trader, and New Hope all looked different now. The humans had worked all night adding armor plates and weapon mounts. The ships looked stronger, but also more threatening. "Sir," said Navigator Helvan from his station, "we are approaching the void fields. This is where the pirates usually attack." The void fields were a region of space filled with old asteroids and broken ships. It was a perfect place for pirates to hide and wait for victims. Every trader who worked the outer rim knew to fear this area. "All ships reduce speed," Captain Murphy ordered. "Stay in tight formation. Keep your shields up and weapons ready." "We have weapons?" asked Kilnara in surprise. "We do now," replied Corporal Amy Foster. She had stayed on the Prophet's Edge to help coordinate the defense. Each ship has emergency laser cannons and missile pods. They are hidden until we need them. The convoy moved slowly through the asteroid field. Everything was quiet except for the hum of the ship's engines. Vex Theory felt sweat on his forehead, despite the cool air on the bridge. "Contact," announced Lieutenant Carter from the wildfire. 15 ships moving to surround us. It is the Void Reapers. Vex Theory's heart began beating fast. 15 pirate ships against their 5 vessels. Even with the human improvements, the odds were terrible. All cargo ships. This is Captain Scrathville of the Void Reapers. Came a new voice over the communication system. The voice was cold and cruel. "You are surrounded. Shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist and we will destroy you all." Vex Theory looked at Corporal Foster. "Should we surrender?" he whispered. Foster shook her head. "Watch and learn," she said with a smile. "This is Captain Murphy of Iron Wolf Security." Came the reply from the wildfire. "You have 30 seconds to withdraw, or we will show you why hiring humans is not a death wish for us." The pirate leader laughed. "Humans? You think 4 cargo ships and 1 escort can fight 15 warships? You are insane." 30 seconds, Captain Murphy repeated. 29, 28. "Attack!" screamed Captain Scrathville. "Destroy them all." The pirate ships came at them from all directions. Their weapons lit up space with deadly energy beams. Vex Theory closed his eyes and waited to die. Instead, he heard Corporal Foster shout, "All ships, battle formation now." The Prophet's Edge shook as hidden weapon systems came online. Panels opened on the hull, and laser cannons appeared. The other cargo ships did the same thing, suddenly bristling with weapons that had not been there the day before. But the real surprise was the wildfire. Instead of staying back to defend the cargo ships, it charged straight at the attacking pirates. The small human ship moved faster than anything Vex Theory had ever seen, spinning and dodging through enemy fire like it was dancing. "What is Murphy doing?" Kilnara screamed over the noise of battle. "Hunting," Corporal Foster replied calmly. The wildfire reached the first pirate ship, and something impossible happened. The human ship used those strange spikes on its front to ram right through the pirate vessel. Metal tore, and sparks flew as the pirate ship broke apart. "Ramming attack successful," came Sergeant Rodriguez's voice. Moving to target 2. The wildfire spun around and opened fire on 2 more pirate ships. Its weapons were much more powerful than they should be for such a small vessel. 1 pirate ship exploded immediately. The other lost its engines and began spinning out of control. "How is that possible?" Vex Theory asked. "Human engineering," Foster explained while working at her control station. "We build our ships different. More armor, bigger weapons, better engines. Quality over quantity." The cargo ships were fighting too. Under Foster's coordination, they moved in a pattern that confused the pirates. When the enemies expected them to run, they attacked. When the pirates tried to surround them, they scattered and regrouped. "Target the pirate command ship," Foster ordered. "All vessels, concentrate fire on the big one in the center." The 4 cargo ships turned their weapons toward Captain Scrathvell's flagship. Their combined firepower was surprising. The pirate ship's shield began to fail under the heavy attack. Meanwhile, the wildfire was tearing to the pirate formation like a knife through paper. It destroyed 2 more ships and damaged 3 others. The pirates had never faced anything like this before. This is impossible. Captain Scrathvell screamed over the communication system. They are just cargo haulers and one escort. We are Iron Wolf Security, Captain Murphy replied. We do not lose. Something new appeared on the sensor screen. One of the pirate ships was trying to ram the Star Trader. The cargo ship could not move fast enough to avoid it. Rick! The Star Trader needs help. Lieutenant Carter called out. On it! Came a new voice. Technical Specialist Rick Barnes was aboard the Wildfire, but suddenly he was outside the ship in a spacesuit. He was floating in the vacuum of space with a rifle in one hand and some kind of tool in the other. What is he doing out there? Vex Theory asked in amazement. External repairs and combat support. Foster said like this was perfectly normal. Rick likes to work with his hands. Barnes flew through space using a small jetpack. He landed on the attacking pirate ship and began cutting through its hull with his tool. Sparks flew around him as enemy weapons tried to hit him, but he moved too fast and was too small a target. Within minutes, the pirate ship lost power and began drifting. Barnes had cut through something important inside. Just another day at the office, Barnes reported cheerfully. The battle was turning into a disaster for the Void Reapers. They had lost 7 ships and damaged 4 more. Only 4 pirate vessels were still fighting effectively, and they were running low on ammunition. All ships retreat. Captain Scrathvell ordered, fall back, fall back. But the humans were not finished. Lieutenant Carter led the Wildfire in pursuit of the fleeing pirates. No survivors, she announced. These pirates will not threaten anyone else. Wait, Vex Theory called out. Let them go. We have won. Have we? Corporal Foster asked. If we let them escape, they will just attack other cargo ships next week. Is that what you want? Vex Theory thought about all the ships the Void Reapers had destroyed, all the crews they had killed, all the cargo they had stolen. These pirates had been terrorizing the trade routes for years. No, he said finally. Finish it. The Wildfire caught up with the fleeing pirates. The battle was over quickly. When the shooting stopped, 12 pirate ships were destroyed. Only 3 had escaped, and they were badly damaged. Captain Scrathvell's flagship was drifting in space, its engines dead and its weapons gone. The pirate leader's voice came over the communication system one last time, but now it was full of fear instead of arrogance. What are you? He whispered. We are humans, Captain Murphy replied. And you just learned why most people think hiring us is a death wish. The death wish is not for our clients. It is for their enemies. The convoy continued toward Kepler's 7 colony. Behind them, the void fields burned with the wreckage of pirate ships. Word of the battle would spread quickly through the criminal networks of the Outer Rim. The Void Reapers were finished, and everyone would know that humans had destroyed them. The news traveled fast through the galaxy. Within 3 days, every major trade station knew what had happened in the Void Fields. The Void Reapers, who had terrorized shipping lanes for over 10 years, were gone, destroyed by humans. Vex Theory sat in his office on Zephyr Station, reading reports on his tablet. The Zephyrian Trade Consortium stock price had doubled overnight. Other companies were calling every hour asking about human security services. But most of the callers sounded scared. Sir, Pip Talk said from the doorway, the Galactic Council wants to speak with you. They are calling an emergency meeting about the human situation. What human situation? Vex Theory asked, though he already knew the answer. They want to discuss whether humans are too dangerous to work in civilized space. Pip Talk replied, his feathers turning pale with worry. Vex Theory closed his tablet and sighed. He had expected this. The galaxy was not used to such violent solutions to problems. Most species prefer to negotiate with pirates or simply pay them tribute. The idea of actually fighting back was foreign to many civilized worlds. The emergency council meeting took place on Central Station, the political heart of the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the great assembly hall. Vexthery found himself sitting between a nervous Quillian ambassador and a tall, thin being from the Crystal Worlds. "The situation is clear," announced Ambassador Quindara of the Ethereal Assembly. She was a beautiful creature made of pure energy, but her voice was cold with anger. "These humans have turned a simple escort mission into a massacre. 12 ships destroyed, hundreds of pirates killed. This level of violence cannot be tolerated in civilized space." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. Many representatives nodded their heads or made their species equivalent gestures of approval. "They are too dangerous," added Counselor Velteron from the Peaceful Alliance. "We have reports that human security companies are modifying client ships with unauthorized weapons. They are turning merchant vessels into warships without proper permits." More agreements echoed through the hall. Vexthery felt his stomach twist with worry. If the Galactic Council banned human security services, his company would be defenseless again. "Furthermore," continued Ambassador Quindara, "we have evidence that humans actively seek out conflict. They do not simply defend their clients. They hunt down and destroy their enemies completely. This goes against every principle of civilized behavior." The assembly hall was filled with worried chatter. Many representatives were talking about the need to restrict human activities before they cause more violence. "If I may speak," Vexthery said, standing up from his seat. The hall fell quiet. All eyes turned to him. He had never spoken at a Galactic Council meeting before, and his voice shook slightly as he began. "Honored representatives," he said, "I am Council Leader Vexthery of the Zephyrian Trade Consortium. We hired the humans that everyone is discussing. You were the ones who unleashed them?" Ambassador Quindara asked with shock in her voice. "We hired them to protect our cargo ships," Vexthery replied firmly. "And they did exactly what we paid them to do. Before we hired humans, we lost 3 cargo ships in 2 weeks. We lost 30 crew members. Our insurance company refused to cover us anymore. We were facing bankruptcy." He paused and looked around the assembly hall. Many representatives were listening carefully now. "Since we hired human security, we have not lost a single ship. Not one crew member has been hurt. Our cargo reaches its destination safely every time. The humans do not just protect us. They have made the entire outer rim safer for everyone." "By committing mass murder," Ambassador Quindara said coldly. "By stopping murderers," Vexthery replied. "The Void Reapers killed hundreds of innocent traders over the years. They destroyed dozens of ships. They terrorized entire sectors of space. Now they are gone and peaceful merchants can travel safely again." A new voice spoke up from across the hall. "The Zephyrian is correct. It was Ambassador Kethmori from the Traders Union. Piracy in the Outer Rim has dropped by 70% since this battle. Our members are reporting the safest shipping conditions in decades. Because everyone is afraid of the humans now." Counselor Velteron protested. "Yes," said Ambassador Kethmori. "The pirates are afraid. And that is exactly what we needed." The assembly hall erupted into arguments. Some representatives supported the human security services. Others demanded restrictions or outright bans. The debate went on for hours. Finally, the council chairman called for order. He was an ancient being from a species so old that most people had forgotten their name. His voice was deep and wise. "We will hear from a human representative," he announced. "Captain Jake Murphy of Iron Wolf Security will address the assembly." Captain Murphy walked into the hall, wearing his dark blue uniform. He looked calm and confident, even though hundreds of alien eyes were staring at him with fear and suspicion. "Honored representatives," he began, "I understand your concerns about human methods. We do solve problems differently than most species. But let me ask you something. How long have pirates terrorized your trade routes?" The hall was silent. "How many innocent traders have died while you debated and negotiated with criminals?" Murphy continued. "How many cargo ships have been lost while you try to find peaceful solutions to violent problems?" Ambassador Quindara spoke up. "Violence is not the answer to everything human." "You are right," Murphy agreed. "Violence is not the answer to everything. But sometimes it is the only answer to violence." The Void Reapers were not interested in peace talks or negotiations. They were killers and thieves. The only language they understood was force. You could have captured them instead of destroying them, Counselor Veltron suggested. Murphy shook his head. With respect, Counselor, we tried that approach in our early contracts. We captured pirates and turned them over to local authorities. Half of them were back to piracy within 6 months. The other half escaped from prison or were released on legal technicalities. He looked around the assembly hall with those cold blue eyes. We learned that the only way to stop a predator permanently is to remove it from the equation. Yes, we are violent when we need to be. Yes, we use methods that make other species uncomfortable. But our clients stay alive, and the galaxy becomes a little bit safer. The debate continued for 2 more days. In the end, the Galactic Council reached a compromise. Human security companies would be allowed to operate, but with new regulations. They had to register their weapons and modifications. They had to file reports after every engagement. Most importantly, they could only be hired by companies that specifically requested their services. Vex Theory was satisfied with the decision. It meant humans could still protect his cargo ships, but other species would not be forced to work with them if they did not want to. As he prepared to leave Central Station, Captain Murphy approached him in the corridor. "Thank you for speaking up for us," the human said. "Not many aliens would have taken our side." "You saved my company," Vex Theory replied. "You saved my people's jobs and homes. It was the least I could do." Murphy smiled. "We have more companies asking for our services now. Pete Rodriguez has started his own team, and Lisa Carter wants to open a training academy. Would you be interested in investing in human security companies?" Vex Theory thought about it. The stock prices for human security firms were rising fast. It would be a good investment. "Yes," he said. "I think that would be very profitable." As he flew back to Zephyr Station, Vex Theory looked out at the stars and smiled. The galaxy was changing. It was becoming a place where honest traders could work without fear. And it was all because someone had finally been brave enough to hire humans. Even if everyone else still thought it was a death wish point 1 year after the battle in the void fields, the galaxy had changed completely. The phrase, hiring humans as a death wish, still existed, but now it meant something very different. Pirates whispered it to each other as a warning. It meant that attacking anything protected by humans was suicide. Vex Theory stood on the observation deck of the new Zephyr Defense Station, watching cargo ships come and go safely. His company now owned the largest shipping operation in the Outer Rim. The profits from working with humans had made him very wealthy. "Sir," Pip Talk said, walking up beside him. The young Quillian was no longer gray with fear. Now he wore the blue uniform of a company executive. "Captain Murphy is here for the meeting." "Send him in," Vex Theory replied. Captain Murphy entered the observation deck, looking the same as always. His uniform was neat, his expression was calm, and his eyes still looked like they could see through everything. But now he commanded a fleet of 30 ships instead of just one. "Good to see you, Vex Theory," Murphy said, shaking hands in the human way. "How is business?" "Excellent, thanks to you and your people," Vex Theory replied. "Our ships travel safely throughout the galaxy now. Piracy has almost disappeared from the major trade routes." Murphy nodded. "Iron Wolf security has grown too. We have 12 separate teams now. Pete Rodriguez commands his own fleet. Lisa Carter's training academy has graduated 200 mixed-species security officers. Even aliens are learning human tactics. And it works. Better than we hoped," Murphy said with a smile. "Turns out other species can be quite effective when they learn to think like humans. They just needed someone to teach them that sometimes the best defense is a strong offense." A communication alarm sounded. Pip Talk checked his tablet and looked worried. "Sir, we have an urgent message from the Galactic Defense Committee. They want to speak with both of you immediately." "What about?" Vex Theory asked. "The message just says, Code Red Emergency," Pip Talk replied. Within minutes, they were connected to the Defense Committee's emergency communication system. The holographic display showed Admiral Zexcary, the committee's military commander. His usually calm demeanor was gone, replaced by obvious panic. "Captain Murphy, Council Leader Vex Theory, we need your help," the Admiral said without any greeting. The situation is desperate. What situation? Murphy asked. The Void Reapers have returned, Admiral Zexcare replied. But not the same ones you fought before. These are different. Stronger. They have allied with 3 other major pirate organizations and some unknown alien species with advanced technology. Vex Theory felt his blood turn cold. How many ships? Over 200, the Admiral said. They are calling themselves the Dark Alliance. Their leader is someone named Warlord Crixthal. We have never encountered a species before, but their technology is more advanced than anything in our databases. Murphy's expression did not change, but Vex Theory could see him thinking quickly. What is their target? Murphy asked. The Galactic Trade Hub, Admiral Zexcare replied. The economic center of civilized space. If they capture or destroy it, the entire galactic economy will collapse. Trillions of beings will lose their jobs and homes. When will they attack? Our intelligence says they will arrive in 72 hours. We have tried to assemble a defense fleet, but most species are afraid to fight. The few military ships we have are not enough. Vex Theory understood immediately. Most civilized species had small military forces because they had never needed large ones. They solved problems through negotiation and trade, not warfare. But you cannot negotiate with someone who wants to destroy everything you have built. How many ships can you provide for defense? Murphy asked. 47 military vessels from 6 different species, the Admiral replied, against more than 200 enemy ships with superior technology. Murphy was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled the same wolf smile that Lieutenant Carter used to wear. Admiral, how many human security companies are operating in the galaxy now? According to our records, there are 38 registered human security firms with a total of... The Admiral checked his tablet. 423 ships. Contact all of them, Murphy ordered. Tell them this is Captain Jake Murphy requesting immediate assistance under the Mutual Defense Protocol. We have a code red situation at the Galactic Trade Hub. Will they come? Vex Theory asked. They will come, Murphy said confidently. Humans do not abandon their friends. And we consider everyone who trades honestly to be our friends. The next 72 hours were the busiest in galactic history. Human security fleets from across the galaxy began moving toward the trade hub. Sergeant Rodriguez brought 15 ships from his company. Major Foster arrived with 20 vessels from the training academy and their mixed-species crews. Dozens of other human captains answered Murphy's call, but it was not just humans who came. The Zephyrian Trade Consortium sent every cargo ship they had, all modified with the weapon systems that humans had taught them to use. The Traders' Union mobilized their merchant fleets. Even species that had been afraid of humans before decided they were more afraid of pirates. When the Dark Alliance arrived at the trade hub, they found themselves facing over 600 ships instead of the 47 they had expected. Warlord Crixthal's voice echoed across all communication channels. His species spoke in a language that sounded like metal scraping against stone. You cannot stop us, he announced through a translation device. We have superior numbers and technology. Surrender now, and we will allow some of you to live as slaves. Captain Murphy's response was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. This is Captain Jake Murphy, speaking for the Combined Defense Force. You came here expecting to find weak merchants and frightened civilians. Instead, you found humans and everyone brave enough to stand with us. You made a mistake, Warlord. You brought a war to people who have learned how to fight. The battle was the largest space engagement in recorded galactic history. It lasted for 18 hours and involved over 800 ships. The Dark Alliance had better technology, but the Defense Force had better tactics and more determination. Human ships led boarding actions against enemy vessels. Mixed-species crews used human-taught strategies to outmaneuver superior opponents. Cargo ships that had been converted into weapons platforms fought alongside military vessels. The turning point came when Major Foster led a desperate assault on Warlord Crixthal's command ship. Her mixed crew of humans and aliens fought through the enemy vessel room by room until they reached the bridge. Surrender, Foster demanded, pointing her weapon at the Warlord. Never, Crixthal replied. We do not surrender to inferior species. Then you picked the wrong galaxy to invade, Foster said, and ended the war. When the battle was over, the Dark Alliance was completely destroyed. Not a single pirate ship escaped. The trade hub was saved, and the galactic economy continued working. At the victory celebration, Captain Murphy stood before representatives from hundreds of worlds. They were giving him and his people medals for saving civilization. "We did not do this alone," Murphy said in his speech. "Humans taught other species how to fight, but they taught us something too. They taught us what is worth fighting for. We fight to protect trade and families and the peaceful life that everyone deserves." After the ceremony, Vextheri approached Murphy with a new contract. "We have received reports of unknown hostile aliens threatening colony worlds in the far reach," he said. "The pay is excellent, but the mission will be extremely dangerous. Are you interested?" Murphy grinned and shook Vextheri's hand. "Dangerous?" he said. "Perfect. When do we start?" The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous ally was exactly what you needed, and hiring humans was indeed a death wish, but only for your enemies.